So, to get us started on how innovation and a digital mindset or a mindset is going to equip women and a little bit about our secrets. So, I guess it's no surprise that most of my life is spent in the new economy. If you look at, we like to say I spend my life in the outlying areas because there's plenty of people that know how to make business as usual as great as it can be and be effective and efficient and incrementally kind of improve things. So I spend my life out exploring the risks and opportunities that sit on either side, if you like, of the digital economy or the business as usual. So if you see out here, it's the risks and the opportunities. And if in a way, it's this shift from the existing business as usual post-GFC, maybe that business as usual got a bit smaller. We got rid of some resources that were the thinking resources or the people resources. We got very lean. And in that leanness, we became these very industrial age machines that, the processes, can we automate that? Can we save 0.022% of something? And the stock market was, kind of pushing us to do that. And, now we're transiting, if you like, to the information age. And the beauty of this transition is there's a whole bunch of new skills and requirements in the information age that are really well aligned to all of the gender groups. So if we look at the industrial age, it was about scale, it was about formal power, it was about things being systemized and there was geographic boundaries around where you were going to be great and how you would compete. So competition was at the heart. If we look at how we're moving to the information age, that's about creativity, innovation. It's about putting the customer at the centre of your business. It's about scale is as important as personalising and digitising what you do so that it really rocks my world. And I'm one of a billion people around the world that can find you. So the great thing about that shift from industrial age to information age is it's perfectly aligned with the things that we learn at our kitchen tables, that we learn in our primary schools, that our mums did for us, the things that we do really well just as people in life. And so now it's not so much that, it's the women's age or it's the feminine age. I think it's just come of age. And the world is now open to taking all of the skills and the wonderful talents that we can create. So let's get on the bus. It's our opportunity. We talk about quotas, we talk about getting more women in senior leadership positions. I'm kind of all for that. I'm a woman that's grown up in a man's world. I have 7 brothers. I have 71 first cousins. My first career was in trading. I worked on Wall Street. I was the only woman in the team. My next 4 jobs were all teams where I was either the only woman or one of very few. It's kind of normal habitat for me. I didn't become a man. I used the skills and talents that my great mum showed me as my first role model in life. And I just navigated the space. I said yes to every opportunity that came into my life. And that took me from Upper Mount Gravatt to a failed 6-week degree in home economics. Kind of glad I dipped out of that. I did come back and finish an MBA in 2000s, which gave me great joy. I then went off, and said yes to, can you go over to Western Australia? We've got a funny little operation out there with commodity trading that we need someone to run a few, ships on. I said, oh, yeah, okay. And, of course, the wharfies made fun of me because I would go down and watch these sheep being loaded on ships and they'd tell me I have to go and do things. And it was the late 80s and I had big hair up here, shoulder pads, had big red earrings. I used to have matching shoes and a handbag and I would turn up down at the wharf at Fremantle where they were loading all the sheep onto the live sheep ships, which now I'd be horrified by, and they would make fun of me and say, oh, you have to go, you have to go down to the hull and do this, and so I would do exactly what they said, and so of course they'd send sheep down. Next thing I'd be there with my handbag going one way and the sheep on top of me, but it's all kind of part. Nowadays we would probably sue them. For lots of money. Nowadays shipping companies don't have lots of money, so they're not worth suing. I just figured it was a life lesson and I could kind of be disabled by that or I could be empowered by that. I just kept saying yes. And every time I said yes, some new door opened for me. So I went from Western Australia, I came into Sydney, I ran a sales op team, it was full of men. I've seen every export abattoir in Australia, I've visited every wheat silo in Australia. I know how commodities and every cycle is grown. I worked harder than any man on my team to understand what makes these organisations and these industries around the world tick. And I said yes. And one day a guy from our European office came out, we had a meeting. He goes, I really like what you do. I need someone in New York. Would you go to New York? Yeah, I'll go to New York. So I got on a plane and 7 years later, I ran a whole trading team in New York that ran exactly the same thing we did. I just kept saying yes. On the back of that, I kind of was hitting my 30s. I love how the world taps you on the shoulder. I was about to turn 30. I was living in New York. I was living the dream. I was there with lots of friends. We were living a fast life. Thank God there was no Facebook. I'm not sure I'd have a director's career today if we had Facebook back when I ran in New York. But on the back of that, what I learnt was keep open to the senses in your life. Because when I was about to turn 30, I started to meet 40-year-old New York women. And I had this moment of clarity where I saw that was becoming me. And I had a choice to make. Did I want to become that? Was that really my destiny? They were wildly successful beyond my dreams. I was a VP. They were like owners of whole divisions. I was earning hundreds of thousands thinking I was pretty good as a girl from Upper Mount Gravatt. They were earning millions. And they were driving the top level cars. I was just driving the entry level. I could become that, but what I also learnt was they were really unhappy. Most of them had no stable relationships in their lives. They drank way too much. They self-medicated on all sorts of things. And at the end of that, I kind of had this moment of clarity. And I said, hey, Vegas is not a bad place. I have 7 brothers back there. I've done my Wall Street thing. My CV's going to look okay. I could probably stand on that for a few years. So I upped sticks and told the company, hey, I'm heading home. I'm going to go home. I'm going to buy a little Queenslander. I'm going to do it up on the inner city blocks that were then, 807 metres. Now they're all 400 metres. And I came back to Brisbane, and I'm going to find myself relationships and love, and I'm going to live a great life. I found myself all of those things, and in the process got a business out of it that helps people understand how to find a man, if a man's what you're looking for, how to find a partner. So if anyone needs help on that, I can help you after that. I have something called the lovetrip.com. We're about to commercialise shortly. I did an interview on the radio once about that, and I got 400 emails. And then I helped all of them and sent them the little spreadsheet. I haven't written a book about it, which I must do. If there's any ghost authors in the room, I never have enough time. I'd love to connect with you. But on the back of that, I got 400 emails. But then, strangely, about 6 months later, my inbox started going crazy again with all these international emails. And I rang the ABC and I said, Richard, what's going on? I got 400 emails. That was really nice when I did the interview. But I said, now I'm getting all these randoms from like Germany and Afghanistan and, Brazil. He goes, oh, yeah, we sell it to Qantas. Didn't we tell you that? So it goes into the headsets around the world. So there's a message in internationalisation. It's really cool. So I came home, got married, joined a consultancy, did my MBA at QT. It was one of the best things I ever did, because when I came back from New York, I had 4 headhunters in Brisbane tell me I was unemployable. I said, why am I unemployable? I've got these great skills. They go, yeah, you got everything, but you're never going to find a job in this town, baby. You speak with a slightly American accent. You know how the world works. You know how to raise money. You know how to run teams. You know how the world works. And you're sitting in Brisbane. Do you think any male manager will ever hire you? You would frighten the hell out of them. So I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? So I came down to QT. I spoke to Evan Douglas. He goes, we love people like you. And he got me a job to fund my MBA with the federal government, going out and telling the world about how the internet and the world might look in the future. And there started my career in helping people navigate the unknown. And I realised that that was my voice. That was my key. I'm really good at helping people sense and navigate the unknown, and taking away fear and creating excitement and enthusiasm and real business models that can help you deliver in new unknown things. So that became a great career. It also then happened to take me to the Middle East, where I've now just spent 9 years, and I came back in 2012. And in the Middle East, you can only imagine the types of things that went on. I became on the plane on the way over, again, synchronicity, have all your senses open. Taking a plane from Melbourne to Dubai, 2003, they sat me next to a beautiful Somali British man who happened to be the practice leader for McKinsey's in London. And we had a bit of a chat about what I'd done with re-engineering of processes and how I'd restructured energy companies and a few things we'd done post-MBA. And he goes, oh, and you're going to go and live in Dubai? And I said, yeah, my husband's a pilot, blah, blah, blah. This is how I got here. And he goes, he said, we don't touch any work under $5 million. And we have lots of work that requires people to do this like $1 to $5 million work. Do you think you'd be interested? I said, oh, no, I promised my husband that I would kind of, be a stay-at-home wife for a while and get the house set up. He goes, look, here's my card. Call me when you feel like you need some stimulus. So 2.5 weeks later, I called him. And a week later, I was on a private jet being flown to Muscat in Oman, and I was then insured a beautiful journey for 2 years where 2 days a week I flew down and I helped the Sultanate of Oman privatise assets, decentralise and restructure it to make it profitable for growth and how to get international money into the country and foreign direct investment. 2 years later, the guy came to me and said, we really love what you do, but my cousin, he has a big problem. In Arabic, it's called mushkila kabira. And you know when the men go, mushkila kabira, it's a big problem. So he came to me and said, mushkila kabira, my cousin, Abu Dhabi, big problem. I said, okay, what do you think? He goes, I just give him your number, you call. So he gave me this mobile number. I called the mobile number. Turns out the mobile number, I rang. I said, salam alaikum, ismi Monica, ismak min fadlak, I gave him the whole story. By that stage, I'd learned enough Arabic to get myself into trouble. And the guy said, Mohammed here. You come visit me. I said, where would I find you, Mohammed? Your cousin said you have a problem. He goes, at the palace. I said, okay, right, you're one of the officers at the palace because the palace is pretty big. He goes, no, I own the palace. You come see me at the palace. So I got in my little car, drove down to Abu Dhabi. I knocked on the door and said, my name's Monica. They go, we know. We have police check. We have your passport number. I went, oh, wow, I didn't do that. No, it's okay. So there ensued another beautiful 5-year journey with the Sultan of Abu Dhabi, helping them buy and sell soccer teams around the world. Post-GFC, we invested in a few things called Barclays Bank. Made a few $5 billion in the space of 8 months by helping people when you don't have money, need money. And also learned some beautiful lessons about how to really be open and to new cultures and how you navigate that space appropriately. So all of that really rocked for me. In 2012, I decided to come home. And of course, again, the recruiter said, no way you've got a job now. There's no one in town. Those guys that were the guys that wouldn't hire you when you came back from New York, well, they're now chairs of boards and they're still frightened of you. But now they're 60 and 70 years old. So I then decided that I would take a journey through life that I do now, and I love it, my life. I choose every day. I'm blessed that I can choose every day what I do. I founded a company called Purposeful Capital, and that is all about how do we do great stuff from Brisbane that affects the world in a positive way. And prosperity is a big part of that. And prosperity is profit. Prosperity is growing new businesses that we can employ people with, that give us more choices, that we allow to share with our friends and family that, and in early stage investors that help us get these things off the ground. So my mission is now about that. It's about also helping through the Impact Academy social entrepreneurs that change the world.